How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Conservative Inputs. I am joined by Steven and Tim.
Howdy.
It's just us three for right now. Everyone else couldn't make it.
Well, Devin said she could join in it a little bit, so we can hope.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, anyways, we're going to be talking about a couple of things. First off, we're going to be talking about Ashley Babbitt, and I think I'm pronouncing it right. Am I?
Yeah, it's Ashley Babbitt.
Babbitt died. And we're going to be talking about what happened on January 6th and the guy that killed her, or whatever they're calling him. We're going to be talking about him. And then we're going to be talking about, I believe, was it the CDC?
We're going to be talking about the FDA, the CDC.
FDA, CDC.
And then we're going to be talking about Denmark, Australia.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about SCOTUS, and then we're going to be talking about the president, Afghanistan, the president. We're talking about military officials, so many people.
There's a lot to talk about here, so let's get right to it.
Yep.
Let's get right into it.
Zane, if you wanted to get started with the Ashley Babbitt.
I will pull that up 1 sec here.
All right. So I guess I'll go ahead and fill everybody in real quick. If you guys didn't know, we're not giving all the details on what happened, but somebody was killed at the January 6th insurrection. Only one person killed. It was a Republican Trump supporter, Ashley Babbitt, and she was killed by a Capitol Police officer.
Yep.
So only person killed at the insurrection.
And I've pulled this up on Yahoo News because
Yahoo News, of course.
I don't know.
Hey, news is news.
News is news. Doesn't matter. So he had an interview with the Capitol Police officer with NBC, I believe.
Yep.
But it says that Lieutenant Michael Leroy Bride?
Michael Bride, yes, sir.
Michael Bride, yeah, Michael Bride. He basically just goes on talking about there's been threats since it happened, all of this, and that he saved countless lives because of it, and that Babbitt was posing a threat.
Yeah.
He said, "I know that day I saved countless lives. I know members of Congress as well as my fellow officers and staff were in jeopardy and in serious danger. That's my job. I believe I showed the utmost courage on January 6th, and it's time for me to do that now and coming forward," he said.
Yeah.
And
it's quite
I go down a little bit more. The Capitol Police, the Justice Department, Washington, D.C., Metropolitan Police have concluded Bride did not act improperly in shooting Ashley Babbitt as she attempted to breach the U.S. House chamber.
Okay. So his name was actually circulating online for quite a while.
Yeah.
People online knew who it was if it wasn't made public already. But yeah. She was unarmed. Okay. She was shot in the face.
Wow.
And he said in his interview, I shot at center of mass, and her face was most likely center of mass because she was crawling through a window. But regardless, he was the only officer there that discharged his weapon. I said before we started, I wasn't sure if he was the only one that drew his weapon, but he was the only one that discharged it, and it led to the death of somebody. Nobody else died. He did not save countless lives.
Nope.
He killed an unarmed veteran, by the way. She was a veteran. And it's just ridiculous that he has this, the idea that he, saved people because, who was there to be killed?
Yeah, and also he said something about there was previous shots that have been fired.
No.
No. There's been countless videos of every single angle, even inside, and there hasn't been any shots fired, at least not from most of the supporters. There's evidence, there's videos of most of these guys that they said were violent, part of the insurrection. They said we're here peacefully protesting, we're just using our voices.
Yeah.
So that kind of contradicts the shots were fired, that's why I shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was just mostly just a protest that got out of hand. It wasn't really like an insurrection as the media would call it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing. So a lot of people will compare the BLM riots to this, and so here's the difference. The BLM riots destroyed private property, okay,
public property.
It
too.
led to public property too, but private property, which is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
The Capitol building
Mm-hmm.
is public property. It was funded
Mm-hmm.
by the people who were there, you know.
Yeah. So we have every right to be in that.
So
building.
we have every right to be in that building. You know, the BLM riots, looting, vandalism,
Countless people were injured.
countless
even
people
killed.
murdered and
Yeah.
injured. You know, there was the story of you know, that police officer that was killed. There was the
Yeah,
story of the
in
guy that
cold
was
blood.
literally stomped to death trying to
Mhm.
protect his friend's store. You
Yeah,
know,
another trucker got kicked in the back of the
Mhm.
head, and I think he had severe brain trauma because of it.
and the reason why I draw that conclusion is because not only because it was public property that was funded by the American people that was being, you know, vandalized, even though, you know, the U.S.
Yeah.
government spends $10,000 on a toilet seat. I think they can afford a new lectern for Nancy Pelosi. That's all
Yeah,
I'm saying.
definitely.
Not only was it public property, it was also the fact that if I know if the shoe was on the other foot, this person that Michael Bride, he would be called a murderer, and the left would be screaming for him to go to prison.
Mm-hmm.
And right now he's being treated like he is a hero, when
Yeah.
that is not the case. Not at all.
Or one thing is that like not many people know is that the White House, you know, when Trump went into the bunker,
Mhm.
it was because the White House was protesters, leftist protesters, BLM got through the gates.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I think 80 plus Secret Service members were injured, and I think like 6 were killed. You don't hear about that. You don't hear about the Secret Service members that saved countless lives.
Yeah. One person was killed at the January 6th protest, and it was a protester.
Oh wow.
Not a rioter, a protester.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or what about Brian Sicknick? Brian Sicknick died because of those Trump protesters. Oh.
Wait, what's the story of Brian Sicknick?
Brian Sicknick, there was a police officer who was at the Capitol riots named Brian Sicknick.
Mm-hmm.
He died because of what's it? He
But
has
it
like
wasn't-
strokes. He died because of a stroke, not because the protesters.
And it had nothing to do with actually. It didn't have anything to do with the actual insurrection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was days after, wasn't it? Like, wasn't it like
that was
13
not an
days after?
insurrection, bro. That was not an insurrection. That was call it a protest that got out of hand.
Yeah.
And I mean, I agree. You know, it didn't need to happen. It definitely was a whole bunch of people who were probably getting a little too rowdy. You know.
Yeah.
But it definitely wasn't an insurrection. The U.S. government was not. They weren't like threatened by it in any way. You know.
Oh yeah.
And saying that it was an insurrection and saying that they're a group of terrorists is incredibly not only ignorant but ridiculous. And Zane is frozen. Okay. I'm sure he'll be back shortly, but we'll go ahead and move on to our next topic, which is the FDA approval and some more info on the CDC. So, the COVID vaccine recently got approved, and it's been an incredibly short period of time. You know, we had the flu vaccine, which took 30 years to develop. The COVID vaccine took there he goes. Yep, he'll be back soon. The COVID vaccine took less than a year. Okay, on average, it takes drugs 12 years of being tested, I guess, or just in the market in order to get FDA approval, and it really means nothing. You know, I found a list of 22 approved drugs by the FDA that are extremely harmful, and that includes, these are really difficult to say, atorvastatin, which is, or atorvastatin calcium, which is like, some brand names are Lipitor and Crestor, adalimumab, which, Humira is a brand name, Etanercept, Enbrel, Clopidogrel, Plavix. There Zane is.
Sorry about that. There were some complications.
You're fine. We're going over the FDA approval now, And then
Let's
we
go.
got Rituximab. Rituxim is the brand name for that. We're going over a list of drugs that are harmful, that were approved by the FDA. And then we have
That
what's that?
wait, they're approved. Like, what do you mean by approved?
They were approved by the FDA, but they came out like they were discovered to be extremely harmful.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then we've got there's a list of 22 of them. One of them I wanted to point out was fentanyl. Fentanyl was approved by the FDA as a drug, but it is, as we know, extremely harmful. And that's what I feel like we need to be looking at when we look at the COVID vaccine. And then in other news, the CDC recently came out and said that the effects aren't as lasting as they predicted, which would warrant the booster shots, is what they're saying. That's what they're trying to get at. But they said the COVID vaccine may not be effective, and that decreased immunity is occurring. And that's why we're seeing a spike.
Why.
Yeah, we're seeing a spike in people who have actually taken the COVID vaccine, because now that not only do they have the virus in their body, but the immunity is not long lasting. So it's just I feel like it's ridiculous because all these states are like going for the vaccine mandates, and if they're not going for a vaccine mandate, they're going for a mask mandate.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is not only an infringement on our freedoms, because nowhere in the Constitution does it say that the government can tell us that we're supposed to wear something or inject something into our body, but it's also ridiculous to mandate a vaccine that they say themselves is not effective. We've seen this ever since the vaccine came out. We've seen people die from side effects of the vaccine. We've seen people just have bad reactions to the vaccine that most normal vaccines don't have. We've seen a spike in COVID cases among vaccinated people. We've seen people who have died within 10 minutes of getting the vaccine.
That is so terrible, man.
And then on top of that, the CDC is telling us we need to wear masks regardless of if we're vaccinated or not, because we can still get it. I got vaccinated. I don't know what to think now.
No.
I mean, I've got a pretty good immune system, but regardless, now I have something in my body that I don't know if my body will be able to handle. And I didn't get sick with COVID.
All of a sudden you grow a third arm or something.
I grow a third arm. I just start convulsing. It's either that or it's just a big gigantic ploy, and they actually gave people saline injections.
Insulin.
Yeah, or no, not insulin, saline. It's basically salt water. Because I've been seeing a lot of conspiracy theories that that's what they've been injecting everybody with. Hey, you never know.
Water.
Oh yeah, gamer girl bathwater. Then other than that, Steven, you have information on, or did you want to say anything about the FDA or CDC approval, guys?
They're clowns.
Clowns.
Well, I just don't know. Like they say, I know I said earlier, like, oh, people shouldn't take a drug unless it's FDA approved, and it's like, now it's like I don't know where we're going with this. Like they're rushing it. It's like something is always very sus with COVID vaccines.
Why can't we just go back to normal?
Hey, maybe like one of the countries in our next segment, Steven. But one thing I'll say about the vaccine, I got it for a stupid reason. Not gonna disclose the reason, but it was a personal reason, and I didn't talk to a doctor or anybody about it. I really wish that I had. I haven't had any negative effects, but I really suggest that everybody go talk to their doctor before they get the vaccine, because you may not need it, you may need it, you don't know. Other than that, Steven, you want to go to our next segment?
So I've been hearing a lot about two different countries, but these are two countries with two stark personalities, two stark strategies. Very different strategies when it comes to the COVID lockdowns,
and both are very surprising.
One country you can clearly tell who their ancestor country was.
Yep, Denmark, obviously. We're gonna go to Denmark. Like Denmark, surprisingly, in a few months ago, Denmark has now said they would open up for all tourists from the United States. And so this means if any traveler from the United States is vaccinated. They're allowed to go into Denmark without any restrictions whatsoever. But then if for American travelers that are not vaccinated, they're still going to have to take a negative COVID test. So it's really surprising how Denmark took this step to just like reopen everything, except for maybe a few exceptions here and
Yeah.
there. But other
I
than
feel
that,
like-
Denmark is opened up.
See,
It's just like
I feel like
Complete. Sorry, you guys go.
sorry, I feel like Denmark is like taking it kind of like, yeah, we just have these precautions just in case.
Yeah, and
But we'll
that's
still let you through.
that's what I feel like is a very good precaution to take. You know, because it still is a disease. I mean, and it still, it still does affect, elderly and immunosuppressant people who do have pre-existing conditions. But they've them completely opening up their country, other than to people who have tested positive or have not been vaccinated, I feel like is a very good step in the direction. I would prefer to see it open completely, but I can understand that the positive test. Did I say negative, or did I say
Yeah.
yeah?
Uh,
I yeah I can see why limiting positive tests is a good idea. So I'm cool
Yeah.
with that. But in
And then-
stark contrast, we have
Australia,
Australia.
the
Yeah.
daughter country of
Mhm.
Britain.
Yep, Australia. They're
very
still
obvious.
doing the lockdowns, and even
Great Britain's other penal colony.
yep.
The
Australia's
one that they
Prime
could
Minister-
actually maintain and conquer.
Australia's Prime Minister named Scott Morrison, I believe his name was. He just defended his whole statement on Australia's handling of COVID, saying we're gonna lock down, we're gonna make sure 70% of our people are vaccinated until we start opening up. I'm like, this is so interesting. This is a very exact opposite of what Denmark is
Mhm.
doing. Like, come on, Denmark.
Like,
is doing-
Australia's turned into Nazi Germany.
Like you're
Yeah.
literally seeing people who have COVID being arrested,
Yeah,
which
you know,
is ridiculous.
this is I heard about this. Infants are dying because
Oh
people
yeah,
are too afraid of getting COVID that they're not taking care of their kids. Also, a rescue shelter in Australia shot all the dogs there. They killed all the dogs in the shelter because they didn't want people coming and getting the dogs because of
I
COVID.
did not hear about that.
Yeah. They're talking about it. Michael Knowles had a video about it. These
Really?
shelter, they shot the dogs, puppies, little dogs. They shot them
Yep,
because
that's
they're too
terrible.
afraid for people to come and rescue them.
Yeah. See, we've
Yeah, and it's-
And these
we've-
are rescue dogs that were abused,
Mhm.
and the
Yeah.
fact that they just get shot in the head, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and we've seen negative reactions to mask and lockdowns and vaccine
Yeah.
mandates in France and Great Britain and I
Yep.
think Germany as well. We've seen a
Yep.
lot of actual riots. In France just the other week, they had people storm their Capitol building, tear down a
Yeah.
picture of their president and tear it in half
Macron,
and throw it
yeah.
out in the window. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like it is absolutely ridiculous that the leaders of these countries are not seeing how their people are feeling and reacting accordingly to it. It's
They're like, oh well, this is for your health.
for who
Well, yeah, like
keeping
that's
people
what they say.
inside away from work.
Yeah.
That's not for their health.
The suicide rates are gonna go up,
And they did.
Yeah.
like they
They
did in the U.S.
I read I read somewhere. I more heard it. I'm pretty sure it was from one of the Daily Wire podcasters that there was a poll done and it said 70% of high school age students considered suicide during the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
or at least said something about
Mhm.
feeling depressed during the pandemic,
Yeah.
which I don't, you're not allowed to go out and see your friends, you're not allowed to engage
Mhm.
with the people you normally engage with every single day. And it's
Oh yeah,
these lockdowns have been terrible for the economy, have been terrible for mental health, have been terrible for physical health. We've probably seen it in like a drastic increase in our country's mean weight, and I mean, weight isn't that big of a deal, but it does lead to bigger issues if it gets out of hand.
mm-hmm.
So it's
Yes.
Well, totally.
And
That's
even
why I switched to
Australians
more-
protesting as well. Australians
Oh,
are
yeah.
rising up. They're protesting. They're saying we've had enough.
It's good.
You don't want your lockdowns, and we're gonna rise up against you.
I like how the police are saying it's for your health as they're shooting them with rubber bullets and throwing tear gas
Wow,
at them.
that's
Oh,
such
yeah.
hypocrite.
There was a story of I don't know if it was, I'm terrible at this. It might have been Tim Pool, I think. I was listening to a lot of Timcast today. That's where I got a lot of our stuff on Afghanistan today, or at least where I heard about it. Tim Pool was talking about how like there was an altercation between police and citizens in Australia, and one of the citizens had it was a certain like YouTube channel or a podcast like logo on like a T-shirt, and the police officer was like, "Yo, I follow them too," and then he just started like beating the crap out of him because he was like outside of his
Bruh.
house, and I'm like, "What?"
So you
What?
follow the man, but you'll still beat him up.
Exactly.
That's like me going
Exactly.
up to like a famous YouTuber, like, "Yo, I follow you," beat him up.
What? That is so bad. Honestly, that is so terrible.
It's like when it gets to the point where even people you share interests in are so willing to hold you down and restrict your rights. You know that it's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's a red flag.
It's a red
Completely.
flag.
I wonder how much those cops are getting
Huge
paid to
red
go
flags.
beat up people.
Probably
But
quite a bit.
They're thugs. They're acting like the Gestapo.
Yeah. And now in New York State, they're not they're not considering religious exemptions from vaccinations. So like I don't know if you guys heard, but you know, vaccines, passports, and mask mandates in New York. And then I know there's mask mandates in California because my dad works for a company that's that has locations in California, and they did they did a company-wide mask mandate because of California. So
All right.
They're
trying to
First of all, look at Denmark. I'm gonna say, look at Denmark. What
look at
Denmark is
Denmark.
doing.
Look
Look
at
at Denmark.
Denmark.
Florida, Texas.
Yes.
Yep, exactly.
Restrict people coming in if they have if they test positive for COVID, but open it up.
Yeah, open it
Open
up.
it up. If you're looking to be safe,
Yeah.
open up the state, but restrict access. You know, that's fine. That's fine. You know, limiting the amount of people that are coming in with it, I'm cool with. But don't shut down the economy. Don't lock people in their houses. Don't force them to wear pieces of cloth that are getting soaked with sweat and spit. That's probably gonna get them more sick.
Yeah.
It's
go
like-
do the best.
Don't force them to inject things into their body.
Look, look at
It's
this.
ridiculous.
Now you got people forcing this mask on you. I've seen videos of people like forcing masks.
I don't even have any
There we
masks.
go, boys. I'm safe.
I'm not required to wear a mask
This
anywhere
isn't a
but
mask. It's a bandana.
no,
No.
whatever. I'm not required to wear a mask anywhere but work, and my work provides disposable masks, so I don't have any anymore.
I use a mask that's not even a mask. It's like you can breathe through it, but it's like just dark enough that it looks like it's a mask, and I wear it to work. I can breathe with it perfectly fine. My glasses don't fog up. It's
And
not
that's-
like uncomfortable.
And that's the thing. Most of these masks that people are wearing, they don't do anything. They do nothing at all.
Exactly.
It probably makes your health worse. Like I had to wear a mask when working out,
Mhm.
and I'm already pretty big. Like I'm pretty overweight, and I have asthma because of it. Hey, I am. I'll admit it. But I
You
have
look
like some side
great,
effects.
Sane. You look
Oh,
fantastic.
thank you. But since working out with like a mask on, I'm like huffing and puffing,
Yeah.
and I'm like can't breathe. And then now that I don't have a mask, I'm like, I can breathe.
Yeah.
I can breathe in between sets, you know.
And it's just, you know, we've talked about it before. Most of the masks say they don't prevent the spread of infectious diseases anyways. You know, unless you're wearing a KN95 or you're wearing something that completely restricts your airflow,
Like the
you know,
Bane mask.
you're not
you
you're
know?
not doing anything.
This is gonna help me from COVID because I can't breathe. But if I don't breathe,
Batman
must
be scared of COVID.
that's what I was before I put on the mask.
All right. Any more
That's basically what it is.
any more info on those, Steven?
Well, I mean, that's pretty much all I got. Oh, and about more on the Australia lockdowns. Let me search
Steve
up-
Irwin is probably throwing a fit right now.
Wow, they're
Wait,
Rip
Steve
the
Irwin?
legend.
Oh yeah, I was
Yeah.
about to say Steve
Um,
Irwin, isn't
I-
he dead?
Yeah, he's throwing a fit in his grave.
He's
RIP.
turning over in his grave. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty.
Uh,
I mean, that's pretty much
I mean, the
it.
founding
like,
fathers are turning in their grave
That's
right
pretty much
now.
all I got. I mean, like, just two stark personalities. It's like night and day. All I can say is, the world, please open up, give people their normal lives back, and stop being so draconian. Thank you.
There we go.
Please stop
couldn't
being
have said it better myself, Stephen.
1940s Germany.
All right. All right, and then one more topic, and then we're getting into the big news. So,
Yeah, big news.
SCOTUS recently
what
made
that is.
SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the United States.
Oh, I'm stupid.
SCOTUS
I'm not
recently
good with
made
acronyms, you know.
SCOTUS recently made a 6-3 decision, saying that the eviction moratorium was illegal. This is the second time they've made this decision.
Yay!
The second time. The second time they've had to tell the U.S. president that he is not allowed to tell people
He's a clown.
that they're forced to house people in their houses. By the way, pretty sure we can't be forced to house people.
Mm-hmm.
That's like one of our amendments. I don't care if it says troops or not. That's still housing people without monetary.
Yeah.
you know.
If I'm not getting paid, I'll be like, yo, you're paying me. If they're not
Yeah.
paying me, they're paying.
It was
Gotta
a
pay.
6-3 decision. The 6 were the conservative judges. The 3 were the liberal judges with dissenting opinions, which is how it's referred. The decision was that, per the Constitution, it is illegal. It is unconstitutional to force landlords to house people in their house, in their property, without being compensated financially or of the like.
I've seen stuff where like you know how like some people rent out rooms in their houses, like their own personal houses.
Yeah.
And they're like refusing to get out and not paying, and like they can get like the owners throw them out, and then the owners get charged.
Oh yeah, they can get sued.
Yeah, they can get arrested too. I've heard
Yeah.
that too. It's they can get arrested for kicking somebody out of their own home that they graciously allowed them to live in, but they had to pay.
Yeah, and so here's the thing, and Tim Pool was talking about this. I listened to Tim Pool a lot today. I listened to his podcast, Timcast Live, and then also Timcast.
Just listens to Tim Pool 24/7.
Hey, gotta support a fellow Tim, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was
there's
talking
no
about.
there's no cool Zanes except like the dude from One Direction.
I'll hook you
He
up.
doesn't even have.
He's
it's
not
even-
cool. He is not cool. Nobody in One Direction is cool. I'm sorry, Zane. I do know Zane that I'll hook you up with though. His
Oh
name's
my
Zane
gosh.
Myers.
Zane Myers. That's
He was like
dope.
he was like one of my best friends in high school. Anyways, so yeah, they made the decision that, oh no, going back to the Tim Pool thing, he was basically saying, what does that even do? SCOTUS can make this decision, but how are they enforcing it? Because they can't enforce it. Laws are enforced through the executive branch, and they're decided through the judicial. The executive branch is the one who wants to make these decisions. So if you kick somebody out of your house and they sue you because of the eviction moratorium, who's to say the police are going to side with you?
Yeah.
Because if you're in New York, police are probably not going to. Well, a lot of the NYPD has already said that they're not even going to, follow through with the mask mandate laws. And
Good for them.
good for them.
They got
I
Tom
thank them for
Selleck
their
running
service.
the police department.
Yeah. But let's just say there's a mayor bootlicking, state trooper. Okay, I'm being honest. Who gets pulled or state trooper? I say state trooper, but a bootlicking police officer. Let's say hardcore lefty police officer that comes and is called about this. Who's to say that that police officer won't arrest that landlord?
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Blue Bloods with Tom Selleck as the police commissioner in the NYPD.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't. He said no to the leftist mayor.
Yeah. And even okay, so say this person sues, each court up the way could say yes, Court of Appeals, Yes, and then it goes to another court, and then another court, and then another court. Gets all the way to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court says yes, it is illegal to force them to house you in their house without paying them.
Mm-hmm.
That person says, "Okay, I'm still not leaving." What can you do?
Shoot them.
Can
Shoot
you?
them. They're trespassing.
Can you?
There's trespassing.
Depends on the state. But
Good
anyways,
point. Dang.
the SCOTUS did say that if there was going to be an eviction moratorium, it would have to go through the Senate. It would have to be decided by the legislative branch. And, it was moved to the legislative branch. Nothing happened because, House Republicans or Senate Republicans, refused to vote yes to it. So nothing happened. And then what happened? Biden decided to do it again. So I either get the feeling this is going to be an end, which would be absolutely fantastic, or it's just going to be a never-ending cycle until one side gives up, which Republicans better not give up. They've been they've been pansies as of late.
They've been slacking.
Come on, man.
Slackers.
And I
We're
think that's
paying you. Do your job.
I think that's it. We got now we're to the big news. Big
Big
news.
news. Afghanistan.
Oh.
Wow.
Probably some of the biggest news since. What significant has happened in our time except 9/11?
I'd say this is the biggest news since 9/11.
Probably.
Or no,
yeah.
no. Probably no, this is the biggest news since 9/11. Probably the biggest news before this was Obama giving tons of guns to terrorists, which we won't bring up. We won't bring up. Every single time there's a Democrat in office, terrorists get weapons, but
They get our military grade weapons while we can barely buy pistols.
but we won't bring this up. Just saying. Every time a Democrat's in office, terrorists get weapons. But I've got an entire sheet of facts. It's a rough sheet. I'll
I
clean
can't
up.
see. It's all blurry.
I'll clean up the edges for you. You're not supposed to see it. I'm reading it.
Oh.
I'll bring up stuff, but if you guys want to interject with a fact that you guys know I haven't brought up, then that's fantastic. So first things first. Biden decided to pull out of Afghanistan. Went absolutely terribly. There's a lot of things that have happened since that withdrawal from Afghanistan that have made me very angry and very upset.
Me too.
And a lot of Americans very angry and very upset because, we spent 20 years there.
Mm-hmm.
And all that work is for nothing now.
Mm-hmm.
So, America pulls out troops. We've left, as of like 3 days ago, we still had 11,000 American citizens there. Citizens alone.
Oh, yeah.
Not counting our allies, which is probably a very large number
Oh, yeah.
of Afghans, which...
And then you got our troops, too.
Yeah, I commend those Afghan allies for what they've done for us.
Yeah, did you hear the, somebody, I don't know who, somebody in our government gave a list to the Taliban
Oh, yeah, that's one of my
of
points.
Afghan
Yeah,
allies.
No, I have that written down. It says U.S. government officials, aka the Biden administration, gave an entire list of American troops, citizens, and allies to a terrorist organization that was screaming "Death to America" in the streets. Now, I posted a tweet about that. Okay, giving a list of American citizens and troops to a terrorist organization is putting the lives of those troops, citizens, and allies at risk.
Yeah.
That is treason.
Mm-hmm.
I posted that on Twitter. Probably the most popular tweet for the least popular Twitter account. I got close to 200 likes now, which I mean isn't a lot, but it's a lot for me. I've gained 3 followers. I have 13 followers now. And then
You're Twitter famous.
Yeah, super Twitter famous. I've gotten.
Well, you remember me when you become famous.
Oh yes, I will. Sam.
Yes.
I've got.
That's another topic, though.
I think I've gotten close to 70 retweets on that, and I've gotten like 18, 19 comments on it, which like I said, isn't a lot, but hey, at least I'm not getting ratioed, which is fantastic. But
Come on.
yeah. So other than that, the UK and I think France actually went into Afghanistan, got their people out. Unlike us who pulled troops out and left, military.
They made us look ridiculous.
I think it was close to $4.3 billion in military
Oh my
equipment.
gosh.
Yeah, 600,000
Oh.
guns, I think. And
Yeah,
I'll actually
Not all of them.
I'll pull up a list of things.
Yeah, not all of the guns have been accounted for. They said
Not all the guns have been accounted for.
the Taliban's got like maybe. I'm not too sure how many they have, but they
Dude,
have not as much
honestly,
as you think.
This whole thing was just a total joke and a mess.
But yeah, we've gotten to the point that private citizens, ex-special forces, are trying to get over there and rescue our allies, our citizens, and our soldiers.
Oh my gosh, the president refused to do anything
Yes.
about it.
He's just a coward. He's hiding in a corner. He's hiding under his desk while someone else is calling the shots. You see that press conference? He was instructed with a list to call on like certain reporters.
Yeah.
And then you got his spokesperson, whatever, Jen, whatever, Saki.
Jen Psaki, circle
Yeah,
back. Circle back.
she was furious at reporters because like she wouldn't answer any other questions about Afghanistan. Kamala
bro.
is refusing to answer anything about the Afghanistan.
Kamala's
the-
been gone. Nobody's
Yeah.
heard from Kamala.
Yeah,
Kayleigh
people-
McEnany's
people-
a very honest woman.
people in the Pentagon won't say anything or don't even know what's going on.
Okay, so
And
here's
then you got the director of the CIA talking this like going and discussing stuff with the Taliban.
this is from August 19th, 2021. This is the list of things that or military equipment that we've left. 75,898 vehicles.
Oh my gosh.
599,690 weapons. 162,643 pieces of communications equipment. 208 aircrafts. The Taliban has more Black Hawk helicopters than 85% of the world.
Wow.
All
Wow.
because of our incompetent, demented president.
16,191 pieces of intelligence. That means fingerprints, eye scans, blood samples of passcodes of American citizens, American allies, and American troops.
And who knows what they got a hold of there. There could be stuff for like
Okay,
There-
wait. Here we go.
What up?
They've got 7,035 machine guns, 4,702 Humvees, 20,040 hand grenades, 2,520 bombs, 1,394 grenade launchers, among other equipment.
You serious?
Yeah, as of
Nice.
June 30th, the Afghan forces, which are now controlled by the Taliban, had 211 U.S. supplied aircraft in their inventory. At least
it-
46 of those aircrafts are now in Uzbekistan after more than 500 Afghan troops used them to flee.
I disapprove. I highly disapprove.
and
Yeah.
now if we want to actually do something, we can't just send in a couple thousand troops. We need to send in a lot
Yeah.
of troops.
So, and then let's see. And then we had the Kabul bombing.
Kabul
There's
bombing,
several
yeah.
different theories. People think there's
It
three
should have
main
never
theories.
happened.
Well, yeah, it definitely shouldn't have ever happened.
Our troops shouldn't have been there.
But there's three theories.
Yeah.
The most prevalent one is that it was ISIS-K, which is the offshoot of ISIS that is in Afghanistan.
I didn't know they had branches.
Yeah, they do. There was ISIS-K did it, which is honestly the most likely story. There was that the Taliban did it, which is the second most likely story because the Taliban is the Taliban. And then there's
Honestly-
a third theory that the bombs were planted by the U.S. military.
Oh my gosh.
And there's
I
several.
honestly didn't know that there's a difference between the Taliban and ISIS.
Yeah, no. Apparently ISIS and the Taliban are like
They hate each other. don't
extreme
they?
rivals, I guess. I don't know. But
That's weird.
the third theory is
Who
backed
can
up.
blow up more cars.
Yeah, the third theory is backed up by a couple different claims. So, U.S. government officials told troops in the airport to continue processing refugees, but to not let American citizens into the airport. and that was before the bombing. Why would they not let troops process American citizens? Did they know about the bombing? Did they know it would happen? Apparently they did. There's been a couple sources that stated that they did, and then
Or the fact that they left American troops there,
yeah, the fact that they left American troops there.
they killed
Um,
our troops.
Yeah. The morning of the bombing. This isn't related to the theory, but the morning of the bombing of Kabul, top military officials posted about diversity and inclusivity in
No.
our nation's military and how it made us more fierce and better killers.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't-
because
I don't-
we
I don't
got
know about you.
lesbians. We got lesbians in our military and queers. It makes us
Yeah.
stronger, you know.
Well, it was talking specifically about women. Maybe more tolerant. But I don't think it makes us more fierce when we're talking about diversity in the military. And I mean, hey, diversity in the military. I'm all cool with that. It's just the fact that they were talking about diversity when we have 11,000 American citizens stuck in Afghanistan, which is currently occupied by the Taliban. And then, several Americans have offered to go to Afghanistan on their own dime.
I think they're already there.
I'm not too sure about it because the U.S. government made it very clear that they do not want people going to Afghanistan to save American people.
Well, they're ex special forces.
Yeah,
They
well-
fly under the radar.
yeah, but
There's probably special forces teams that we don't even know about in our military.
there's been several people who have offered to go to Afghanistan to help get Americans and our allies out. The U.S. government has said no. One of which, including, is Hillary Clinton, which I absolutely despise as a human being. But if this is true, then I will give her a little bit of credit where it is due. I do appreciate that.
She's probably going to go kill somebody off in Afghanistan in the process.
How are we looking on time? Never mind, I see it right there.
7:52.
We're actually doing pretty good on time. 8:52 where I'm at. We're actually doing really good on time.
Mhm.
Yeah. This is probably gonna be one of our quicker videos for how much we've been covering. But
Yeah.
Second to last big piece of news on this, at least, is Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller, which means we're gonna be able to do a little bit more when it comes to the last big portion. Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller was fired over demanding accountability from military higher ups, which
He shouldn't-
is
He shouldn't have been fired.
yeah, no, he definitely should not have been fired.
No.
It is
He-
an American citizen's right
Mm-hmm.
to question the government and their motives.
And even a guy like a member of the military, I think he should have that right. That
Of
because his
course.
brothers and sisters are being killed over in Afghanistan, he
Yeah.
should have that right to know why it is that these people are getting killed.
And speaking of those who have been killed, the bombing of Kabul. So, bombing of Kabul. It was August 26th. It was the deadliest day for the American military since 2011.
Wow.
We
That's
had
a long
13. We had 13 military members die that day. That was more than any day in the last 10 years, and it was the first time a member of our military died since Trump's Taliban deal last year.
Yeah.
So back in February. Speaking of military members dying, we have a list of 13 U.S. soldiers that died. And since we have a little bit more time, I will be able to go over in depth, or a little bit deeper in depth than we at first were going to, which is, I think, great. Something that really needs to be done because these people sacrificed their lives for our country and the people
Mhm.
in Afghanistan, and I feel like it's warranted. So let me
they're
find the
heroes.
post real quick.
Mhm.
Jesus, I can't find it. I'm a terrible person.
I saw something.
not.
They said that these people
Mm-hmm.
should be the ones that are getting statues,
Oh yeah, for
not
sure.
not these terrorists and these druggies like George
Mhm.
Floyd.
Yeah,
These
and
people, these soldiers that risk their lives and sacrifice their lives saving people, they should be getting statues. They should be honored but our government is doing nothing about it.
Mhm.
Our government is more worried about COVID and our deals with the Taliban and all this and that.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And yeah, and it was Matt Walsh brought this up. He said the people who are getting statues today are literal criminals. You know, they don't tell the story of how oh dude, I even forget his name. That's how much it doesn't really matter to me. George Floyd. You know, he literally like busted into someone's house, you know, robbing them, and then held a gun to a pregnant woman. So
And he was doped up on fentanyl when he was arrested.
fentanyl, the drug we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
You know.
And then you got
Mhm.
soldiers that are in the dirt right now
Mm-hmm.
that aren't even getting recognition from our own government, from our military.
So we're gonna go over this list of people. We
Mhm.
have Maxton Soviak. He was 22. He was in the Navy. The only member of the military that wasn't part of the Marines.
Mhm.
He was a Navy hospital corpsman, hailed from
Mhm.
Berlin Heights, Ohio. Graduated from the Edison High School in Milan in
Mhm.
2017. Most of these people, one of them, was not in their 20s. The
Mhm.
rest were. You know, these are all people who are around our age. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
sacrificing their
Almost.
lives to fight for our
Mhm.
country.
And
know?
like what you're saying, like he was the only non-marine. I wonder why he was there.
He was a combat medic.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, he was there. He was there helping people. You
Mhm.
know.
I was gonna say that usually they're not like, I don't know.
Okay. And I apologize for these names. I'm not the best at names. So there's Kareem Nikoui. Nikoui. He was 20. He was in the Marines. His father didn't even realize his son had been killed until he saw a clutch of Marines show up at his door in Norco, California.
Wow. That's just. I don't know what can I say to this. Like, this is just. This is
It's
pretty interesting.
It's
it's
terrible.
tragic.
It's terrible
Mm.
knowing that this man had no idea his son had been killed.
Mm-hmm.
We have David Lee Espinoza, 20 years old, part of the Marines. He was from Laredo, Texas. He graduated from Lyndon B. Johnson High School in Laredo and lived in Rio Bravo his entire life. We have
Mhm.
Riley McCollum, 20 years old, Marines. He was from Bondurant, Wyoming. He was on his first deployment. He had just gotten married and was 3 weeks away from being a dad.
Mhm.
We got Jared Schmitz, 20-year-old Marine. He was a Lance Corporal from St. Charles, Missouri. The heartbroken dad said his son, who always dreamed of being a soldier, was on his first deployment and was sent to Afghanistan from Jordan. He was notified of his son's death at about 2:40 a.m.
Wow.
We have Hunter Lopez, 22 years old, Marines. Lopez was a corporal who hailed from California and planned to follow in his parents' footsteps and become a sheriff's deputy once he was done with his deployment.
Mm-hmm. That's so bad.
Got Dagan Page, 23 years old, Marine. Marine Corporal Dagan Page was a native of Omaha, Nebraska. He loved hockey and hunting, and will always be remembered for his tough outer shell and giant heart, his family said Friday. We have Ryan Noss, 23 years old. He was part of the Army. Never mind. 2 members were not part of the Marines.
Yeah.
I saw a post online. I can't remember that. I can't remember the account. I'm gonna look it up right now. Look it up right now. The typical liberal. Here we go.
Mhm.
Last he communicated with an American in stateside was to his mom. He said, "All good here, Mom. I love you." A little bit more information about him. The first U.S. Army soldier identified as was a victim of Thursday's attack. Ryan Noss was a motivated young man who loved his country His grandfather said Friday. He hailed from Knoxville, Tennessee, had just completed psychology operations training, and was hoping to move to Washington, D.C.
Mhm.
We have Darren Taylor Hoover, Jr., who's 31, part of the Marines. Staff Sergeant Darren Taylor Hoover, Jr., known as Taylor, was a former high school football player from Midvale, Utah, who lit up a room when he entered. He was the most loving, giving, understanding person you could ever meet. The elder Darren Taylor told the paper. He added that since he was informed of his son's death, he had received messages of condolences from other Marines who had Taylor as their sergeant.
Wow. That's just bad, man.
Once again, I apologize for the name. Sergeant Johanny Rosario Picardo, 25 years old, Marines. A native of Lawrence, Massachusetts, was a member of the U.S. Marine Corps Female Engagement Team. She was a graduate from Lawrence High School and attended Bridgewater State University. In May, Rosario was honored by her unit, the Naval Amphibious Force, Task Force 51 5th Marine Expeditionary Brigade, whose members were on the ground aiding in evacuations at the Kabul airport.
This was terrible.
We have Humberto Sanchez. He was 22 years old. He was a Marine.
Oh,
Corporal Humberto Sanchez of Logansport, Indiana, was just 4 years out of high school. Not much older than we are. Indiana Rep. Jim Baird identified Sanchez in social media posts Friday evening, writing that the Marine, a 2017 graduate of Logansport High School, bravely answered the call to serve his nation. We have Nicole Gee, 23 years old. She was a Marine. Marine Sergeant Nicole Gee loved her work and told the world so, only a week before she died. I love my job. The 23-year-old captioned August 20th photo on Instagram, showing the young sergeant cradling a rescued Afghan infant in her arms. We have Dylan Marola, 20 years old, Marine. Lance Corporal Dylan Marola arrived in Kabul less than 2 weeks before he was killed in Thursday's attack, according to his older brother. Was notified last night, the heartbroken sibling David Marola tweeted Saturday with a photo of beaming Marine in fatigues. RIP, and said hey to Dad and Grandma for me. That was it. It was all 13 of them.
Yeah, that's just sad, bro. All the soldiers that we could have saved them all, but
These were all people, you know? People who had lives, people who had family. You know, not much older than us.
Mhm.
They could have had long lives. They could have done amazing things. They did do amazing things.
I don't understand. I really just don't understand why just Biden could just like leave us all behind.
And they're proud of how they handled it.
Mm-hmm.
The Biden administration is proud of how they've handled Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm. How could they? Just, I mean, just the fact that like we could have just like, just taken it to a positive, taken this country to a more positive direction. Now this,
If we had a plan, you know,
yikes.
if we had gotten our allies and our civilians out first, and then over the next couple months, slowly started bringing our troops home, this all could have been avoided. But we had to pull out refugees. Plenty of strong, working-age Afghan men who did nothing to stop the Taliban before our troops, our citizens, our allies. And it led to the death of 13 young American soldiers who were there helping people.
And that they didn't even like talk about who the citizens that probably died, or even like the Afghan
Oh yeah,
people.
13 troops, at least 60 Afghans. And I've seen numbers of upwards of 170 people that have died.
It could have been easily avoided.
It could have been.
Could have been. We wouldn't probably even be talking about this if it wasn't for our incompetent, demented president and his
administration. His entire
administration of
administration.
clowns.
You know, reporters go to those press conferences that get canceled
Because
You know.
nobody wants to own up to anything.
because nobody wants to own up to anything. And you know what happens when they ask questions? They walk away.
Or they blame.
Yeah.
If you look at these press conferences, all I've seen is President Biden being a coward, blaming Trump for all his mistakes.
Trump's not president anymore.
Exactly.
Trump didn't do this.
Yeah. This happened way after Trump.
Yeah.
What Trump set in place has nothing to do with what happened. If we would just stuck with what Trump had in place, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
It's the fact that they made stupid mistakes or stupid decisions because they're incompetent. That's why 13 Marines or 13 members of our military are in the dirt right now. Is because of their stupid decisions. Because of how incompetent and arrogant they are.
And Trump said
That's
it.
what they are.
Yeah.
They're
And-
arrogant.
And Trump said it himself. He said that he wanted to pull the troops from Afghanistan, but if it was done too quickly, if it was done without a plan, something would go wrong. And look what happens.
It did.
Biden was losing support, so he wanted to make a quick decision that everybody would agree to. And it turned out badly for him. And no, everybody would have agreed to pull troops from Afghanistan.
Oh,
But
yeah.
he did it too quickly.
Yeah, definitely. He
Mhm.
did it because he wanted to prove a point that he's a strong president or whoever is controlling him, because
Yeah.
I don't think
Most
Biden
popular
is the one calling the
presidential candidate
shots.
ever.
Okay, I'm going to
most
say right
pop-
now, I don't think Biden's calling the shots.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
think
think so
somebody
either.
else is, but we don't
Yep.
know who it is. But they wanted to pull the troops out right away to make it seem like Biden's this huge, powerful president that's in charge and knows what he's doing.
Nope.
But what happened was,
Not.
it's kind of like, you ever heard the term like work smarter, not harder?
Mhm.
It's kind of like that. If you speed through stuff and work super hard, if you speed through stuff, it's gonna be sloppy and messy. But if you take your time, it's gonna be done right. You know.
Exactly.
Like that's what happens is that they just sped through it and they made mistakes, stupid decisions that shouldn't have been made. And the fact that they brought over Afghan refugees and they're demanding those refugees to have like shelter in our country, yet there's our troops still stranded there and our citizens, American citizens, are still trapped over there. And do you know what they're saying? They're saying that some of the American citizens don't want to come back.
Yeah.
They don't want to go. They want to come back. And they're saying, oh, we can't take these people. We can't help them right now. Yes, you can. You don't want to.
Yeah.
You don't. The reason, I think the reason that they don't want to bring those people back is because they don't want to look weak while doing it.
Oh my lord. Yeah.
But this is a time where they should just own up. They should own up to they should be accountable. They should own up to their mistakes and bring those people home instead of relying on the Taliban to
Mhm.
help out. They're having private citizens trying to get over there to get our people because the government won't do it.
We gave
I can't believe it. I
We
cannot
gave the
believe it.
terrorist organization a list of Americans and American allies. And the Biden administration is counting on terrorists being honorable enough not to hunt those people down and slaughter
And
them.
yeah.
I don't have anything else to say.
Honestly, man, I just can't imagine right now. This is not the America I know.
Oh, it's not.
What
It's-
happened to the America that we know? The America that, we love our people. what happened to the America that, like, you know, people can be proud of? I can't believe that people would just start tearing apart the very fabric of our country's society, all because of just this irrational hatred for just one man.
We've
You
gotten
guys do that?
we've gotten to the point it's more spiritual than anything. We've gotten to the point that all this stuff is spiritual more than political. Because what does it say in the Bible? The devil comes to seek, steal, and destroy.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening in our country and all over the world. Is that the devil is coming to seek, steal, and destroy.
Yeah.
And that's
the
what's
fact
going on
too-
right now.
And the fact too, it's like, I'm sure there are Biden voters that are at least starting to wake up.
Oh yeah.
There are,
They-
but the worst part is the Biden people who still insist that Biden is doing a good job and saying, I'm regretting nothing. You know, I'm happy Biden is making those decisions. You're just
Yeah,
being
do you know what it is?
Ugh.
It's the devil. Straightforward. I'm gonna say it, even if some of these people are watching, you're not religious. It's the devil.
Or even if Google's trying to censor you.
Yeah. It's the devil straightforward. These
Exactly.
people that are acting arrogant and being like, "Oh, well, it's fine. We're not held accountable." That's the devil
Or
controlling them.
Trump is trying to do the same thing. Why you gotta shift it
Yeah.
to Biden? I'm like, bro, you the ones that elected him. Y'all the ones
Mhm.
that just freaking put this demented old man up there. You put that old man that honestly, I kind of feel bad for Biden for saying it, but it's like you put that demented old man up there, a man who's like at the age where he's supposed to be in a nursing home, but then you just want to lump on him this heavy task, all because you just hate one guy, all because you hate what Trump is doing, even though what Trump did is doing good for our country.
Mhm.
Like, come on, bro.
I have a list of service members who have died in Afghanistan since 2001, since we went there. 2,465 American soldiers have died in Afghanistan since 2001. 455 UK soldiers. And 689 soldiers from other countries. It's a total of 3,609. In 2020, there was 11, all of them American soldiers, all before Trump's peace deal in February. 13 of them in one day were this year.
Wow.
24 in 2019 were American soldiers, 2 were from other countries. 14 in 2018, 5 from other countries. 15 American in 2017, 2 from other countries. 22 America, 2 UK, 2 from other countries in 2015. And the numbers only get larger going further back until about 2006, when it was 98, 2005, 99, 2004, 52, 2003, 48, 2001, 12, 2002, 49.
That's just, come on, man.
We've lost
Honestly,
over 3,000 people to the conflict in Afghanistan.
yeah.
Mhm.
And over the
That we-
course of 7 days, roughly,
Mhm.
Tragic.
it's all been for nothing.
Yeah.
All for nothing.
It's
And yeah,
it's basically taking all the stuff that happened from 9/11, why we went over there,
yep.
and it's basically everything that happened in 9/11 is for nothing now. That's basically what's happening. Is that all these times that we were over there, the sacrifice that these troops made, it's for nothing. That's what they're saying. They're taking all, like, the sacrifice of these troops and saying, "Oh, it's nothing. Oh, it doesn't really matter."
And I'm gonna say this. Look, there's something I just need to share for a sec. Like, there's a video that I just want to show to everybody right now, and this video captures perfectly what we feel right now towards what President Biden did.
Listen to me carefully. You're destroying not Afghanistan, but the world. Taliban are best friends with Al-Qaeda and
And and now we're saying like, because of all this, now we decided, some brave patriots will rise up. Now it's time that Biden needs to be impeached. Honestly, forget what I said previously. Forget my previous hesitations about, you know, what I just said about Biden's impeachment. No, it needs to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't, on my tweet, I don't have just people from the right retweeting and liking it. I have people from the Middle East. I have people from
Mhm.
Europe. I have people from Asia. I have people from all over the world
Come on.
Mhm.
calling our
Because they,
president out on treason,
yeah, because that's
something
what it
they
is.
shouldn't even care about.
Yeah.
The problem
The
is
world
that
knows.
because of our president's decisions, it's not only affecting us, but it's affecting Afghanistan. And with the Taliban having our equipment, they're probably going to affect other countries around them, and that's going to end up affecting the world. What it is it's like a domino effect, you know? Because of one little mess up here, it all has fallen down.
The
That's why,
The Taliban used to drive around on jerry-rigged dirt bikes, and they had
with
terrible
cheap,
shotguns, basically.
yeah, and
Now
AKs.
they're more heavily armed than 85% of the world.
Hmm. And the fact that there's a picture of them making fun of our military posing,
Disgusting.
the picture of the military posing with the flag. They're wearing our gear, our military grade armor, our gear and weapons, and they're mocking our country that used to be a strong country, and now we're weak. We're
They
weak
have
because of incompetent people in our government.
they have our uniforms, they have our weapons, they have our vehicles, they have our aircrafts,
Yeah,
they have our night vision
documents.
goggles, they have documents, they have
Yeah, but
information on American allies, they have
do you know how advanced our technology is? Our military technology has gotten so advanced, and the fact that these gun-toting terrorists have them, or if you look in those pictures, they have perfect like firearm control. Where'd they learn that?
Hmm. These
How'd they go
people.
from
the
some
Afghan
gun-toting
army.
terrorists?
The Afghan army was taught by the American
Yeah,
military.
Yeah. Hey, wait. What happened to the celebrations? What happened to the? Oh, what's it? Where are all you people that are celebrating? Where are the 81 million Biden voters now? Where are they?
they're in a grave somewhere, or they're not even
You dug
actual
your.
Americans.
You don't. Oh my gosh. Biden is just only digging his own grave. Anything that, and all the news media that's like, that
Oh,
previously was like just crapping on Trump throughout his
mhm,
presidency, now you're gonna have a hard time defending
mhm.
your
I,
beloved stupid candidate in
mhm.
Joe Biden.
I
You
think it's,
freaking ruined this country.
mhm. I
And
think it's,
honestly, I don't even stand. I cannot even stand. I'm even gonna just call out the people, even on our own party. Why aren't Republicans doing anything about this?
mhm.
If
We don't have
at least
majority.
Republicans
We
need to
can't do
grow some
anything.
balls, huh?
We can't do
I,
anything.
you know, one thing,
What
one
can we
thing I
do?
was gonna,
We don't have majority in either the House or the Senate.
mhm.
Uh, Mar- uh, Marjorie Green, what's her name?
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Marjorie
Yeah,
Taylor Greene.
she's one of the few
She
people
put
actually
in
have
articles of
balls.
impeachment last Friday.
Madison Cawthorn.
Madison
I can't
Madison
Cawthorn.
pronounce
Cawthorn
her.
too.
Yeah, he said something about he's asking them to look at the 25th Amendment and
Yeah,
impeach Biden.
yeah.
Mhm.
Marjorie Taylor Greene and put articles of impeachment last
Mhm.
Friday, a couple Fridays ago. She had a couple co-signers on that bill, so
The Pelosi probably threw him out.
it's probably not going to go through. But in
Yeah,
2022, hopefully we can
it's
hold
it's gotta go
majority and
through.
do something about
If it doesn't go
this.
through, there's probably going to be riots. There's
Mhm.
probably going to be chaos. But one thing I was trying to bring up was, um, one thing like a huge thing that you can tell like the change of times is, back in 9/11 when there's the planes hit the towers,
Mhm.
Mhm.
every single news media was all focused on that and they were all working together. Now you see now what's happening in Afghanistan. The news media is like against each other. Like you got CNN treating the Taliban like an actual government, like actual
Well-
people that should
well-
have the time of day.
So the thing is, the government is treating the Taliban like a form of government.
Yeah.
And I will give a select few CNN reporters credit where it's due. They are calling
yeah.
Biden out on it.
Yeah.
It's not. It's no longer partisan.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It's no longer partisan. This
Mhm.
is either you care or you do not care.
Mm-hmm. It's not, well, we care, but we can't do anything about it.
And there are
It's-
plenty of people on the left who actually care about what's
Oh, yeah.
happening right now.
Yeah, because at
And
the
I
end of the
commend
day,
them for that.
we're all Americans.
Mhm.
We're all trying to get our people back.
And allowing a terrorist organization to take over and leaving fellow Americans there is not something anybody should be okay with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why in 2022 something is going to happen.
Oh, most definitely.
And if it's
Something-
not, then there will be more terrible decisions.
Yeah.
And by
There's probably
2024, I doubt the Democrats will have a single leg to stand on.
there's probably going to be a civil war here.
Yeah.
Or maybe I don't want to say this, but there could be a possibility of a World War III.
No, I'm not.
There
I'm
could
not.
be.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about the Civil War. I'm not sure about the World War III. But there have already been talks about states seceding. They haven't
Yeah.
been too serious, but California's talked about seceding. So has Florida.
No, they've always been
Texas.
talking
Texas.
about
Texas always talks about seceding because it's Texas.
it. It's
um,
Texas, but
Tex-
California's
Texas is legally obligated to secede at any point they want. I can't
There's-
argue with them.
they're special. They're
Yeah.
special.
Um,
But like California, they've been trying to talk about it. They've been trying to separate California itself for like years, but
which would be terrible for California's economy and probably terrible for our economy. But you know,
I mean, but if they're not connected to us, it doesn't care. All the celebrities can stay there.
if they break off into the ocean, nobody would really care. That's all I'm saying.
We'll just be
Oh,
like,
no.
I wonder why there's not as many celebrities talking about their political views now.
Wow. What happened to the energy? What happened to the energy that all these celebrities gave? What happened to the energy after that? They were giving their all on like election season, like, yeah, let's get Trump out of the White House. But now,
Not even a
Nothing.
word. You hear them talk about every little thing that Trump does, like Trump blows his nose, and they're like, Trump can't do that. And then you hear Biden has done countless things. He's bombed Syria. He's done a bunch of stuff with COVID. The whole thing in Afghanistan. Not a single word from them.
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh my gosh! And here Biden he's on vacation, like that woman said, or he's probably. I just
He's
think
at camp.
maybe
He just got back from Camp David.
Camp
What
David-
what is he doing in Camp David?
I don't know,
Huh?
or maybe how much ice
There's-
cream did he eat in? How much ice cream
Probably got
did
a
he
brain
eat in 1 day
freeze.
for his brain to freeze?
Or did you guys see this recently? He was with Israeli president. He fell asleep
Yeah.
as the man
Naftali
was
Bennett,
talking to him.
yeah.
As the president was talking to him, Joe Biden fell asleep
Fell
in his
asleep.
chair. He looked dead.
Yeah.
He
His-
looked dead. Like actually, he looked dead. I thought he was dead for a second.
Mhm.
It's ridiculous in the fact that we're just now getting to the point that there's countless of people dying that they're actually starting to do something about it.
The entire right saw an issue with electing a 78-year-old
Demented,
dementia-ridden
pedophile,
Yeah.
Anyway,
pedophile, yeah.
And
And
now
it's
it's
somebody-
catching up to
Yeah.
America.
Mhm. Also, it's like the fact that they didn't even like look at his past record or career in politics. Joe Biden has done nothing, really
He's-
nothing for this country.
Yeah, close to 50 years in American government.
Well,
And has
actually,
done
part of-
nothing?
he's been a part of it for 103 years. Remember?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. He's done nothing.
Nothing at all.
Trump.
all right.
Trump's
could
not
go.
even. Wasn't even a career politician. He's a businessman, and he's done more than most of these politicians.
Yes.
Trump was in
In
for
his short
4
career.
years and did more for America than Joe Biden
More
ever
good,
did.
yes.
Than
Exactly.
most
But,
of these politicians.
But I think that about wraps us up.
Yeah,
We
Yes,
are
I
heading
was
on
gonna
to an
say,
hour and 30, and
we are. It's a little bit longer.
So I'm
episode.
gonna say, like, to wrap this all up, I'm gonna say, to all the soldiers who have who've continued to fight for our country, we thank you so much for your service. Like, We just love the work that you did for us. We love the fact that you fought for our freedoms. And for all the families out there, for all the loved ones who lost, all the loved ones of the soldiers that died in Afghanistan or any other war that our country's been involved in, we just want to say that we're sorry. We just hope that you get the comfort and the support and the love that you need. And we just hope, and I pray, I hope that we as Americans, we can even just come together. Like we always say, it's about democracy, right? We are going to call out our leaders. We've put Biden's feet to the fire, and we will call him out. We will hold our leaders accountable, because if those disastrous policies will continue, our country will not be our country anymore. So, and just even to people, even outside of America, to people on the world, people around the world, hold your leaders accountable. Make sure that they do the things which are in your best interest. And whatever mess ups they do, you call them out. And if they continue to do mess ups, you vote them out. That is all.
And I think for all of us at the Conservative Input, I think I can say that, we're praying for the families of everybody who lost friends, family, in the Kabul bombing, and I'm sorry for your loss, and they won't be forgotten.